David, tell us a little bit about what you're doing today and what what's your specialty?
Hey, my name's David Domingo. I'm a visual artist, and I make costumes. I started out doing 3D printed suits about maybe 3 years ago, and I started doing prop work and a lot of Star Wars stuff and a lot of superhero stuff. And about 5 6 months ago, I decided to try my hand at sculpting, and I grew up in the '70s, and my favorite movie was the original Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston. And I remember the first time I saw one of those gorillas pop up on that big screen, and man, I was like, wow, that is it.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
So from the time I was about 6 years old, all I ever wanted was a Planet of the Apes mask or a costume, and I collected all of the action figures in the '70s, the Mego action figures, and um, watched the movies over and over again. Collected all of like the, the large edition comic books with the Bob Larkin covers and great covers and stuff like that. And about 5 or 6 months ago, I said, you know, maybe I can make one since I'm already doing kind of costume work and building costumes. Maybe some of the stuff that I have in the studio will kind of translate into that. And so I bought some clay and started sculpting. And I wake up. I tend to wake up and go into the studio early. I tend to go in at like sometimes 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm an early bird, and I sat in front of that clay and I started sculpting an ape face. And about an hour later, I was like, wow, that's really awful. And I started all over again from scratch. Pulled everything down, started all over. Everything's on like this cement armature, and I started sculpting the ape face again. Now I had never sculpted before, and second attempt, and a couple hours later, I was like, oh, that's awful. So I proceeded to do that for man. I was in the studio for about 8 or 9 hours that day, and I uh, I made maybe 5 or 6 runs through it, and I gave up. And I was like, man, what a waste. Okay, I spent $10 on clay. That was a bad investment, right? I said, so I just kind of blew the day, and I was getting ready to turn off all the lights in the costume studio and go grab something to eat. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this one more time. And I sat down and I started pulling up photographs this time instead of just going from memory. And I started referencing um, images from the original movies, and I also started referencing images from a lot of the comic books that I read. So I kind of mixed all that together, and I started sculpting, and in the first 20 minutes, I went, "Wow, that looks like a gorilla," and kept sculpting, and about an hour later, I had a sculpt ready, and it eventually this was the first one that I ever built. This is the prototype. This is the one that taught me how to do hair work and punch hair and how to paint it. And what basically what it is it's a cast from my original sculpt, which was sculpted on a half face armature on a tabletop. And what I do is I make a cement mold, a gypsum cement mold around that. And once that hardens, clay comes out of that, and latex is poured in there, and you let it dwell. And the longer you let it dwell and sit inside the mold, the thicker the mask is going to be. And I tend to like these masks to be pretty sturdy, where they're not like flimsy and falling all over the place. That gets pulled out, and everything gets hand painted, and then the hair gets laid on here just a few pieces at a time. It's sections of hand cut hair, and that gets laid starting from the back forward, and then on the edge of the mask, um, it's hand punched, and you can either use a hand punch needle or a felting needle. And what that does is that actually punches hair into the mask, um, 1 or 2 strands at a time, and you want to do it in rows towards the face so that when you look at it to the naked eye, it doesn't look like an artificially glued on hairline. It looks like real hair. And today I woke up and I was going to come to this convention in a Star Wars suit, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the Planet of the Apes suit today. And it was a last minute thing. I actually had the Stormtrooper armor at the front door, ready to be loaded up into the car, and I was gluing stuff onto this glove 10 minutes before I left the house to finish this glove. And the rest of the costume, this is EVA foam. It's all sculpted out of EVA foam, and weathered and hand painted. And the undersuit's it's just a black sweatsuit. And I threw this on today. I came to the convention and I was like, wow, what a blast this has been. And that's it. Thank you.
So, my name's John, and after the pandemic, I needed to get out and extrovert at people because I'm an extrovert. So, I started making shirts and just going to conventions, selling them a couple of conventions a month, and mostly just getting out there and having fun. That's the whole basis behind this. Every once in a while, someone will say something like, hey, you need to make this kind of shirt, like Jujutsu Kaisen. And I'll watch Jujutsu Kaisen and I'll think, okay, I can do this, 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 and this, and I'll just make up shirts. Sometimes they'll just pop into my head for no reason. And I mean, it's just random. So the best shirt is going to be this one here. Batman Party, because a Batman Party don't got parents. So, well, this was actually the first shirt that I ever made. I was sitting around just thinking of things that I could do because I hadn't done anything for a while, and this shirt came to me. So it went through a couple of iterations, but this is literally the first shirt that I ever made, and it's the best one that I have. Now, we also have the worst shirt. This is the worst shirt that I have. If you love someone, let them go. Spider-Man. This actually started out as Cliffhanger with the movie Cliffhanger where Stallone drops her, and the kids didn't get it, so we Spider-Man'd it for them. And then we also Titanic'd it for the ladies, so we've got Titanic, if you love someone, let them go. The Batman one's one of the most popular, and then Doom is actually probably the second most popular right now. So that's why I actually put them on hoodies for that, because these two are the best that have sold so far. Now, and I have new shirts pretty much every con. So every con I make a couple of new shirts, and I test them out and see. And sometimes I find something really popular, and sometimes I find duds. So I just kind of, I make them, and I just have fun with them. So I have a store, Cold Lake Enterprises. If you can see this is where that is. I've got a QR code for it. And Instagram, Cold Lake Enterprises. I've got a Facebook group. So I've got a couple of things there.